This episode of Lights and Sirens is powered by Pod Decks. Now, Pod Decks are unique interview questions and episode starting prompts in the palm of your hand. So, whether you're a new podcaster or an existing broadcaster looking to grow your audience or get more engagement, you're going to want to check out poddex.com. And if you use the code Lights and Sirens, you will get 10% off your first order. Pod decks are the hottest new tool for podcasters looking to have more meaningful conversations or gamify their podcast. Simply shuffle the deck, ask a question, and let the content roll. And again, get yours today at poddex.com and use the code Lights and Sirens for 10% off your order. This podcast is also sponsored by Raise Energy. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, here we go, talking about another energy drink. There's tons of them out there. The problem is that these energy drinks aren't good for you. Raise Energy steps up the bar and gives you a drink that's not only gives you the energy to make you get through the day, but also is good for you. And with a time-release caffeine that's going to not make you crash after you drink it and it goes away, but goes throughout the day so that if you've got something you need to get done, you can get it done. Hydrated energy, rapid restorative recovery, intensified stamina, razor sharp mental focus, and didn't I mention zero sugar? Oh, I didn't, because I want to save that for last, because all these other drinks have too much sugar for those of us who are trying to get sugar out of our lives. And now you can have an opportunity by using the code Lights and Sirens and can help our podcast, but also get 15% off your order. You'll have delicious selections like Voodoo, Apollo, and of course my favorite, Phantom Freeze. And don't forget the new one that just released, South Beach. Check it out, REPPSPORTS.com, repsports.com, Raise Energy. And if you use the code Lights and Sirens, you'll get that 15% off, and you also help the podcast. Check it out, Rep Sports. Today's podcast is with a great friend of mine, Kristen Johnson, and her fiance, Tyler. Today you'll get to meet two awesome people who are going to talk to you about their lives in emergency services. Again, I apologize for some of the audio. Actually, we got cut off at the very beginning. Not too much, but just bear with me. A couple new segments that you'll get to see, but a great opportunity for you to meet and understand and see Kristen Johnson, great paramedic, great friend of mine, and Tyler, who's also in emergency services as a first responder and firefighter. Check it out.
So, one question I have not been able to ask anybody is, well, how difficult has it been to be a female in the EMS world?
It hasn't been difficult for me at all, I don't feel like.
Has it not? No way, shape, or form?
Maybe in some, like, minor ways, but I'm such a strong-willed individual. It's not been difficult for me, I don't feel like. I don't let people walk over me. And I think that's the biggest thing in being a female in EMS is that if you let men walk over you, they will.
Mm-hmm.
There's been some minor things where I've kind of had to stand my ground, but once I stood my ground, they kind of backed off and just kind of let it. Because I think naturally, and it's not on purpose, I don't think, but I think naturally men see themselves as higher than a woman.
Absolutely.
Or better than a woman. And it's natural. It's not like, a bad thing, I don't think, because I don't see that. I'm not a big old feminism, whatever kind of thing. But, there have been some situations where I feel like I was looked down upon because I was a female. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of had to stand my ground and be like, this is not how this is going to go. Or I kind of just shot back at them
mm-hmm.
and had the ammunition I need. And they kind of was like, okay, wait, we're not going to mess with her.
Yeah. She can stand her ground. She knows what's up.
Mm-hmm.
Good deal.
And I think it's important to, I'm very emotional. And pretty much everybody knows that at EMS, which I don't care. I think some people see that as being weak.
Uh-huh.
But to me, I don't. I just have a big heart. And I'm a female, so we have emotions. But I think that in EMS, you can't wear your heart on your sleeve. That's a big thing that I learned. You just have to come in and just be, I guess, I don't know what the right word is. You have to be like the men.
Open-minded, thick-skinned.
Yeah, that, but you have to just give it right back.
Sure.
You know, like, and that's the thing. Like, I don't care. I can walk in the doors and everybody, like, picks on me. I mean, it doesn't matter what shift it is or whatever. They're always joke and cut up with me, and it doesn't bother me. It never has, and that's just how I am, and I just joke right back. I'm not offended. Like, I'm just really super laid back. I think it was Josh Reese one time, because he was talking about women in EMS, or women or something being ladylike. I don't really know. And I said, well, what about me? And he said, well, you don't count. Because he said you're an EMS lady. That's what he said. Or you're an EMS, girl or something like that. I don't know. Because I thought that was kind of funny. He was like, you don't count. Like, as a lady or whatever. Which is fine by me. I don't really care. So, but I like that. I think it's cool. It's where there didn't used to be a lot of females in EMS. And there really didn't used to be a lot of females at Alexander. When I first come here full time, I was one of 3, maybe, I think. Mm-hmm. I can't remember exact numbers, but I think there was 3 females. And now there is
tons of them.
I don't even know how many. Like, there's several. There's a lot. So, it just in my 7 years of being here, the females have grown here. And, but I think I love it. I mean, I think it's cool. It's just like chill, just hanging with the guys, kind of thing.
And that may be just kind of like a rural thing, or maybe an area thing, because, I was looking up last night. Who do you think the number one hero of the EMS world is? Like if you had to build a statue of a paramedic, who would that statue be made of? Who do you think it is?
In the world?
In the world. I looked it up last night, and there was like, I was like,
even know.
Are you kidding me? Because I didn't know there was a lot of stuff that this person did.
Excuse me. I don't
Who do you think it was, Tyler?
I have no names. I don't know.
Hello. Think about it.
You know exactly who this person is. I'm going to say their name, and you're going to be like, oh, are you kidding? Or, oh, yeah, well, that makes sense.
Who is it?
Nancy Caroline.
I have no clue who that is.
You don't know who that is?
No.
She wrote your textbooks.
Oh.
Nancy Caroline EMS or paramedic textbook.
Well, I never
Here's what we don't know about it. So Nancy Caroline created a lot of things like the neck piece, the cervical collar that we use. She made it more sturdy. Type it in, Nancy Caroline.
I thought it might have been the doctor from Burke County.
Interesting.
That, done away with backboards.
No. Nancy Caroline.
American physician.
She was a physician, but before she was a physician, she was in the emergency ambulance service that assisted undeserved populations in Pittsburgh in the 1960s and 70s. So she also served in Africa and a couple other things like that. Go down just a little bit.
Israel?
Yeah.
Look at her looking like a badass.
That picture right there. Look at that picture right there. Up.
I love it.
Not that one. Up to where she's in the ambulance.
That one.
Look at that.
I love it.
It looks like she's getting ready to fly a helicopter in the ambulance.
Yeah, heck yeah. I love it.
What about that vehicle?
Look at that. I know, right? It's like we have to have these types of helmets.
I love it. I think that's awesome. I need a picture like that.
I think, look, but if you read about her, go see, because like she's actually created a couple things, like invented things for EMS.
Well,
that looks like a
I'm
little.
Sorry, Nancy Caroline, that I didn't pay more attention to your textbook.
Same, bro.
Step it up, y'all. People are gonna be like, I can't believe that they didn't know. I think it was an EMS 1, Nancy Caroline. Anyway, it don't matter. But like she invented several things that we utilize today in the EMS world. But she's like the hero of EMS, like a statue.
Like the Florence Nightingale of
exactly. I was not thinking of that. I was thinking somebody like maybe Reed Roper. Or who else? Somebody.
Mark.
Tim Cheney.
Mark Behringer, Tim Cheney. Yeah, Tim Cheney, man.
Cheney's a good one.
Dude, he's probably absolutely. I would have a statue of him.
Mm-hmm.
If I could have a statue of Tim Cheney in my backyard, I'd have it.
I would name it Senior Tuning.
Senior Tuning.
That's what I call him. And he calls me his sunshine.
Well, I'm telling you. Let's see here. She married a geneticist and molecular biologist whom she had first met in the medical school. They were only married a few months before she died. She was diagnosed with multiple myeloma.
It's a type of cancer.
Yep. Okay. That's enough. She's like the hero of EMS. I don't know how we got off on that little tangent, but it's good.
Something about because she's the hero of EMS
The hero of
or
EMS.
something like that. Cause
We wouldn't recognize it.
Who would I think? Because
because she's a female.
Right.
That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wondered if it's harder or hard at all on female paramedics. Because I could see where in a male dominant, and maybe it's not male dominant. Maybe you're out there and you're listening, and you're thinking it's not male dominant, moron. It's just this population. If you go to like Chicago, there's a lot more. I don't know. But it seems like this is a male dominant career, and there's a lot more. I've seen females in the past 2 years really grow in population. So that's good. It's really, really good to see. But I've always been curious because it seems like it would be in a male dominant thing. I don't know.
Yeah, it can be, but like I said, you have to have a backbone and you have to be able to stand up for yourself and be like, hey, this isn't how you're going to treat me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not cool with that.
Yeah.
Like, so that's just the biggest thing.
So what is one thing that you have, one of your biggest struggles over the past 7 years that you've had to deal with or face or learn how to handle or has helped you grow? It's deep center.
Whatever. I don't know. Yeah, you're a struggle. That's what you are. I don't really know.
I'll tell you for me.
I have no clue. I really don't.
I'll tell you for me. One thing I'm constantly learning is not every person in authority can handle authority.
Oh, yes.
That's true.
Amen to that.
You hear me?
Yeah.
And
I hear you.
this is a struggle that I have had for years in EMS. And it seems like, and it just seems like that the people who are in authority have received that because of longevity. And not so much in regards to, experience of being a leader. And that's hard. And if you're a leader in any way, shape, or form, it's difficult for you to see leadership being mishandled. And I think I've talked about this in other podcasts before, is that I love when someone who is an authority figure and you don't really recognize that they are an authority figure.
They don't make it known.
They don't make it known.
Or don't act like it.
They don't beat their chest or kind of make this notion of, look, listen to me.
Yeah. Yep. I have people's names popping in my head right now.
Oh, it's a given. But
yep.
That's one thing, and I know there's EMS schools all over the country who help with leadership, but I will say this first and foremost: there are leadership techniques that need to be introduced into this area, these emergency services, that is so far beyond the realm of emergency services. It's just initial leadership skills. I'll give you one, for example. Leveraging your influence. Leveraging your influence allows someone who has authority or has some sort of influential possibility to kind of step away from their throne or from their seat and say, hey, look, I want to help you get to here, but to do that, I've got to step out of the way so you can do that. Mm-hmm. And that's leveraging my influence. That's something that I don't never see in this realm. Mm-hmm. Because I want to, if we want to see people succeed, then we've got to help people succeed.
Right.
But if I'm afraid you're going to take my job, I'm not going to let you do that. You know, that's just for an example. Again, another tangent, I guess, for another time. Tyler Baker is also with us now. Tyler, you are a paramedic.
Yes.
You
sometimes,
but you are you? Is it safe to say that you're more of a fireman than you're a paramedic, or would you say you're more paramedic?
Where I'm at, we're more, first responder heavy, medical heavy.
No, you are able to be a fireman though, right? You're able to run through fire calls and
Whatever's needed.
What do you like best?
It depends on who I'm working with.
Okay.
I'm working with Chad Davenport. I want a good structure fire.
All right.
I'm working with Travis. I want a good working code.
Yeah.
Just whoever y'all work with.
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, it is crazy.
Isn't that funny how who you work with makes it or breaks it?
100%. 100%.
Because you can think right now, I would run a code with Chris Elderman any day of the week and twice on Sunday. Because that sucker makes some things as calm and cool. Back in the day, I would run a trauma with Danny Sweat. Like it wasn't anymore. Because he'd be just like, what's up, you know? But it's funny how you would run these calls with different people. If you had to choose between fireman and paramedic, what would you choose?
I think it's day of the week, time of the day.
Really?
That wasn't the
It's
question.
a nice, pretty day outside. I want to be outside doing something. Going to wreck. I don't wish nothing on nobody.
Sure.
But, at night I want a good structure fire.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. 3 o'clock in the morning, too.
What wrong with your...
For real.
I'm up the rest of the day.
No, thank you.
I'm not sleeping.
Are you kidding?
I don't guess it's appropriate to say what we normally say about firemen going to calls.
That's right.
Yeah.
Get a little excited.
They get real
You're
excited.
working it up, are you?
Yep.
I'll tell you, for me and my skill fire calls is sitting in the truck waiting to see if y'all need to have rehab done.
It's a lot different here compared to Caldwell County. I know, we're very first responder heavy in Caldwell County.
Sure.
So I know that helps a lot.
Oh yeah. Gun ho, man.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all are doing things on that call way before, and that's just because y'all got some paramedics and you got some skill levels and you got some actual equipment that you can do such things.
Yeah, I was looking at statistics the other day while I was there, and just last year alone, 50% of our saves have went up since we're so medic heavy, and STEMIs are getting called earlier.
Sure.
We're seeing them earlier.
That's cool. Y'all can jump up the monitors.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's really neat.
It's a 5-minute window about what we're getting a lot more codes back.
Yeah.
Just for that.
So Kristen, you for everybody who don't know, Kristen is now in nursing school.
Before we go there,
Go ahead.
I was just thinking about something.
Go ahead.
You're talking about leadership.
Yeah.
Tara Swanson
Yeah.
at Caldwell is probably the most. She's a female. She's probably the calmest leader I've ever seen in my life. I attribute a lot of my leadership skills to her because she listened to both sides and she pushed you when you wanted it.
Yeah. So since you said her name, I'm gonna add to that and say, just from experience of working with young medics, Tara Swanson has supported these young medics,
Yeah.
loved on them,
Very
encouraged them, patient.
The most patient.
I'm telling you, that is a fact, Jack. And to me, when you look at top leaders,
She's there.
I 100% agree with you. And it shows. I mean, she's now as a community paramedic for the county, but without a shadow of a doubt, I will say this: she has had more young medics not quit and walk out the door because she has been a lighthouse in a dark and stormy situation, which is again a phenomenal trait for you if you are in leadership, is to be able to listen, to be able to understand, to be able to not maybe react in a wrong way.
She don't ever.
Great point.
I think it's knowing how to. I don't know Tara personally. I've heard about her and heard good things, but I think it's also like being an FTO or whoever doing the training and training of students. I think it takes, like you said, a patient, calm person, and because so many of us are so quick to judge these students when they come in there. And they may do one thing, or they may not do everything how we think they should do it right off the bat. And here recently I've had this struggle in my own mind, like, these students, they're here to learn. Like, they're not here to be perfect right off the bat. And, and I think as an FTO or a lieutenant or a captain, whatever, whoever they're with on the truck, I have seen some, say, I don't want this student on my truck. And I just think that is heartbreaking, and it's terrible. And I'm like, if that's how you're going to be, then you don't deserve that position.
Sure.
Like, that's not what that position's about.
Yeah.
And that's part of the issue, like you were talking about. We've seen, we see a lot of that, issues like that in leadership. And I don't know if it's because people just get the job just to move up, just to get the pay raise. I don't really think that's it. But or the title or whatever. But I think that in itself is like, well, you can't say I don't want nothing to do or try to dodge the student or whatever. I just think that's just not right to me. And here recently,
it happens.
Yeah.
It happens a lot.
Mm-hmm. It does.
And I've seen it, and it's not just one service; it's all services. And that's one thing I think, as corporately, we need to figure out how to fix that. You're going to nursing school.
I am. I'm going to be a trader.
And so you literally, look. I didn't know this. I did not know you were going to school originally for nursing. And so you're making almost a complete circle. Are you excited?
I am. I'm excited. I'm ready for it to be over.
Very excited.
Yeah, he's excited because he keeps talking about my
Just for the record,
miraculous.
she promised me a new truck when she got out of nursing school.
Nice.
She made the promise, not
You
me.
heard it here first. You heard it here first.
And that's a lie, folks. That's a lie. He's making this up, and I don't know. He thinks that nurses make some miraculous amount of money, which they do make better money than paramedics. Like, hands down, seen the evidence.
Just wait for the quarantine, you'll be making it all.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, where do I sign up right now? Because they're getting, like, COVID bonuses and stuff like that, and here we are making the same amount.
Yeah.
Same amount.
And
We're going to
change, baby.
nothing's changed. We're not getting no hourly bonus or added on or anything like that. Which it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't expect it because it's our normal job. That's what we do. But it just sucks to see other healthcare professions to be getting those incentives to take care of these patients when we're the ones going to their homes and bathing in it with them. Basically, when we walk in their homes. That's it. It's everywhere. It's on us.
Yeah.
I mean,
we have been going in people's homes. We are the ones who discover that they've got COVID, and we're relaying this information so that they can prepare how to handle. I mean, take them to a different room.
yeah.
I'm in full, gear. Absolutely.
And not to divert from the nursing thing, we can get back to it. But, we have been the people having to educate these people.
Absolutely.
The education for COVID has not existed. They get a call, hey, you're COVID positive. unless they get hospitalized. Or they get a call, they're tested, go home, quarantine, we'll call you with your results. They get a call, oh, you're positive. And then they're like, click, and then these people are sitting in their homes for 10 days, 14 days, whatever the CDC decides this week. But,
True.
I mean,
True.
but then they're watching the news and they're, getting scared out of their minds. Well, then, anxiety's heightened and all that stuff. And then we get the calls out there and nobody's explained to them that these signs are normal, that this is what people have been going through, that this is, this and that. And then we end up being on scenes for a consultation.
Sure.
And that's not,
that's
not our job.
That's
That's not our job.
Yep.
There's where that it is, because our job is also to educate.
To educate, but not to diagnose and not treat.
But not on that
Depends on who you ask. If you ask Dylan, you diagnose.
But not on that aspect of thing. It's just aggravating because, the healthcare providers are making all this money. And they're the people that are supposed to be given this education, or they're whoever at their office or whoever does the testing. They're the ones supposed to be providing this testing, and then it falls back on to us. But then, these people, obviously, when you call, we call.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're supposed to do.
Yep.
We're not,
we're not to dock nobody out of going to the hospital.
Right. Refusals are a huge controversy, in EMS, and that's a whole other subject. But when people call, you have to present them like, well, we'll take you to the hospital. That's what you want to do. We'll take you to the hospital. Then people are like, I don't think I need to go. Like, do you think I need to go? And we're like, well, legally we cannot, we cannot tell you that.
Yep, that's exactly right.
So, and it's just, COVID has brought on a whole new level of us educating.
Yeah.
But then it also puts a whole big old liability on us, because if we're the ones educating, whatever we educate that patient, if something happens and they call and they're like, well, the paramedics told me this, guess who that falls back on?
Yep.
Us. And it's just a huge liability in itself as a paramedic. And now, I have learned, this is one thing that I've learned, is sometimes it's just better to take them to the hospital.
Absolutely.
Who cares? If they don't, if you're just giving them a ride, put them in your truck, take them to the hospital. It's not worth the hassle.
Yep.
It is not. And so that's one of the number one things.
We kind of laugh and cut up, cabulance and you call, we call. But regardless of the picture, that's who we are.
Mm-hmm.
We are. And I guess until education of, I don't know what else you could do in regards to education, because I feel like society has educated enough of, hey, look, this is an emergency situation.
Right.
But if we are not in any way, shape, or form supposed to convince somebody or tell somebody they don't need to go to the hospital. They want to go to the hospital, you're exactly right. Let's take them to the hospital.
I think they've took the emergency out of emergency services.
Sure.
You call for a stub toe. But you call the fire department for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Turn off. We had to, like the other day, to turn off a water line because it was leaking.
Mm-hmm. True. This is true. Because y'all get them just as much as we do. Y'all get more like house stuff too, don't you? Yeah. House repair. Yeah.
I think there's abuse in any kind of system. Sure. It doesn't matter if it's healthcare or what. There's abuse because people don't know the back story, I guess, or the backside of things, and so the lack of knowledge of what paramedics do or what EMS does in general is not out there. You have these shows like 911 and just like stuff on the TV, and my mom and my stepdad watch it, and they'll be watching it, and I'm like,
Fox 911. You seen that?
Yes.
New one?
I don't watch it. I refuse. I cannot do it. Like one time, the one little snippet I seen that my mom and my stepdad were watching, it was a snippet. A plane had crashed into the ocean, and it was on fire and everything like that. What do these fools do? Get on boats, and they're on their way out there. And then they dive in the water to go after these people that are sinking in this. And I'm like, no, we don't do that. Yeah. Because number one thing they teach you in paramedic school is safety first. My safety first. Yeah. And some people and I've had this conversation with my own shift. Some people, even like now, they don't seem concerned about their safety.
Sure.
They're all about
Jump
going in and that is fine. But you know what? I can't take care of nobody if I'm hurt or if I'm dead.
Yeah.
And that's the way I see it. Like, I think we had this conversation, and I guess we can ask you, this is a good topic to talk about. So if there was a fire, and a house fire, and you knew that there was people in there, and you are the first on scene in your ambulance, do you go in the house?
No.
Me neither.
No. I'll tell you why. Because I'm not a firefighter.
Exactly.
I'm not a firefighter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that was a controversy on my shift. We talked about it one night because some people were like, oh, yeah, I'd go right in. Like, they were like, and then they even made a comment, well, I hope you don't come to my house if my house is on fire. And I'm like, we are not firemen.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know anything about it. And, it would just be stupid
Yeah.
for me to run in there. Yeah. And, that's just how
And that's
I feel
the
about
reason why they have fire departments in every district.
And, it is sad.
Yeah.
It is so sad. And no, would I ever be the same probably after knowing that those people are in there?
Yeah.
But I definitely wouldn't be the same if I was dead.
Yeah.
Because at that point, I have to think about myself, my family, like what all they would have to suffer if I went in there and did die. Or the recovery,
Yeah.
So
Well, here's the thing too: is your family's not going to be paid. Most likely, your family's not going to be paid.
Right, because they're going to be like,
that's not your qualification.
Yeah,
That's not your certification. You have not been trained to go in that fire, and it's not that we are heartless. I'm not being heartless. You're not being heartless. It's just facts.
And I think at the end of the day, we have to realize we're not always going to be the hero.
Yeah. Now let's say this. I mean, let's put it in a different picture for those who are listening. Let's say you go to this call, right? And you know somebody's in that fire, and you go in after them, right? You're the only medic on scene.
Yeah.
You go to the right side of the house. That person comes out the left side of the house. Mm-hmm. You die. They're suffering from smoke inhalation.
Mm-hmm. And you can't help them.
You can't help them.
Because you just took yourself in there.
You took yourself out of that certification that your protocol. You're right. You're right to do the job.
Yeah.
So I mean, absolutely. And there's a lot of people who sit here and go, "I'm jumping in both feet." You better just watch where you jump into.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. 100%.
I mean, that's what Tyler's for. He's a fireman.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. There's men that literally want to run into a burning building. That's what they want to do. They live for it.
What is she doing going into that fire? Has she lost her mind?
Yeah. Or like Poovy says, they jump off their girlfriends to go. And their wives. Just leave them right at home. Run right to the fire.
I'm busy.
They live for it. I mean, that's what it is. But yeah, so sorry, we went off on another tangent there. But
man. So when you go to
get back to nursing.
Let's get back to nursing. When we to me,
like I thought that would really mean something, but I have found out that bachelor's degrees don't mean jack.
Nothing.
I mean, they really don't.
Agreed.
They're expensive.
What I tell you the other day?
Degrees.
I held my bachelor's degree up and I was like, look at this. Means nothing.
It's an expensive piece of paper, especially to be a paramedic.
Yeah.
Especially just to be a paramedic.
Yep. What's your degree in? Ma'am, interdisciplinary studies, which is a way of saying, you don't necessarily choose one side or the other. And you can have like two different majors. And so that when you graduate with the interdisciplinary studies, you take 2 majors and go get a master's with. Unlike with, let's say, paramedic, you'd have to take what you got your bachelor's in and go get a master's in paramedic. For me, I could go get mine in health communications and or religion.
Dun, dun, dun. So basically, your degree is you didn't know what you wanted to be when you grew up. So you just like made sure you like rode the line with it.
It was more or less like, hey, you know what? We can get you a bachelor's degree in a year if we'll get you this interdisciplinary studies program, and we'll choose two. But it's not going to really be beneficial to you unless you come get your master's.
Yeah.
It's like Charles Xavier.
It's a money racket. It is a money racket, though. I mean, it really is in any degree. Honestly.
Well, I went to Charles Xavier School for the Gifted.
Oh.
Yeah, X-Men.
That sounds fancy. Yeah.
Well, it was really difficult. There's a lot of people like Wolverine and Cyclops and all these guys.
There's an old fella in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Bald head.
Oh, my Lord.
He was like, so you want to be a
Interdisciplinary thing.
interdisciplinary studies. So here's my thing. All right, you're going to be a nurse.
Mm-hmm. Maybe, hopefully.
Let me ask Tyler this. Tyler, you transported patients to hospitals, correct?
Yeah.
Do you sense at all, and if you're a nurse and you're listening to this, this is nothing against you. This is just a feeling that we have, or maybe I have. Nurses versus paramedics. Do you have that?
Oh yeah, I have that sense. Yeah.
Like it's like.
I remember taking a patient in. I'm not going to mention where I went.
Yeah.
But it was terrible.
Yeah.
Like we was looking at EKGs because it was what we took in, and they was all over the place.
Yeah.
Like,
And they hate us. I think they hate us.
It's not that.
I think, so you're. It's like in my mind, you're going to the side of the enemy.
Yeah. Yeah, I am.
We'll be one of them.
I think it's, and I don't know, I think the hate stems from knowledge deficit, though.
Okay.
Like
Talk
a
about
huge,
it. That's a good point. It's a very good point.
A huge knowledge deficit, because even our instructors, when we started this program, they had a list of things that they had written out to ask us if we were familiar with it. And, you know, majority of the things on the list we were familiar with, and they just had no clue. Like they said, we don't really know what you guys do or are capable of, so we are just trying to see what we need to focus on in our curriculum. Because our first semester was like a paramedic to RN bridge course to kind of transition us into the RN aspect. And, I mean, it is a completely different world. It is. But just like, you know, being a paramedic is a completely different world. And I think that we also as medics have kind of a knowledge deficit to their side of things as well. Mm-hmm. But I don't think... I would venture to say that our knowledge deficit is not as bad as theirs is for paramedics.
Yeah.
Because I just feel like the world has a knowledge deficit when it comes to paramedics.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So, but in healthcare, it has been amazing just to see, like, what people don't know about us as paramedics. Yeah. And I've experienced that trying to get a job. Because most places just don't know my worth. Mm-hmm. And it's not to talk myself up a big game or anything, but I have almost like 11 years of healthcare experience, maybe almost 12. Mm-hmm. I was a CNA for 5 years during college. So I have that experience in the hospital setting. I also worked for an urgent care setting, a doctor's office setting. Like, I've got, you know, a lot of variety in my background. But whenever they look at my resume, they see new grad.
Yeah.
That's all they say. That's all they see. The rest does not matter. So, I've been challenged with trying to find a place to hire me part-time or PRN, because at this time I'm not ready to give up EMS full-time. Mm-hmm. And everybody's like, why wouldn't you? Yeah. And, you know, I kind of have to plead my case and just say, well, look, I've got all my benefits set up at EMS. I love my schedule. I mean, there's perks, even though, like, we talk crap, we talk junk about it all the time. I mean, Sure. It's our thing. I don't know if it's like, I think you talked about it with somebody. It might have been Eric. I don't remember, but you talked about it with somebody. It's kind of like an outlet. Yeah. Like, we talk junk about it, we complain and everything like that, but at the end of the day, when somebody calls 911, the tones drop, whatever it is, we go. Mm-hmm. We don't just...
Our patient care bedside manner do not lack.
Yeah. Like, and we have some of the best bedside manner patient care, which, well, I would venture to say most of us. Mm-hmm. There are a few that probably could get a little better at the bedside manner, but I won't mention those. But, I mean, we do when when somebody needs to be taken care of, we get the job done.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, we don't let all those negative thoughts and stuff about our job do, but I feel like in those moments when we're really needed is when we thrive.
Yeah. And that's the whole meaning, that's the whole understanding of the mantra, strong back, weak minds. Mm-hmm. Because for us to do what we do, and let's kind of hash this out a little bit. Start IVs. We can intubate. We can RSI, rapid sequence intubation, which means we would use drugs to paralyze someone's respiratory drive so that we can maintain their breathing. We can do cricothyrotomies in the back of the truck.
12 leads. 12
leads. Read 12 leads. Understand kind of the emergency aspect of 12 leads. We're not going to diagnose 12 leads, but we can understand how to make a heart rate go faster. We can make a heart rate go slower. We can get a heart rate started back up. All these things are things that people don't know or are uneducated about the fact of what we can and cannot do. And when we say strong backs, weak minds, a lot of us, the reason we say that is because nobody in the world would be willing to put themselves in that situations for the pay or for the, I guess, the respect or the appreciation if we was not in some way, shape, or form, like you said earlier and like others have said, it's just called to do so. Or who else is going to do it? We're trained to do it. We've got that skill and do so. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people are like, I've heard of stories, doctors, friends of mine who are doctors and friends of mine who are PAs, who were working in hospitals at the time. They were working at urgent cares when they were telling me the story. But they were like, we were so amazed by the skill level that a paramedic had and how cool they handle under stress. And she used a story of when they had a guy who went into a seizure and everybody was kind of like freaking out, not knowing what to do. And the paramedic was like, let's just get some Ativan and, let's make sure they don't hurt themselves, just protect their airway and all this stuff. And that's what we do. Mm-hmm. Day in and day out. Not day in and day out as in we do it every day, but we have that skill to be able to do so. And so it's difficult for us a lot of times to say, hey, I do have some knowledge in this. I do have some understanding in this. Trust me. Yeah. And I think that's where the divide is, maybe. Mm-hmm. Maybe not. And
I think that they think the lack of education, like we don't require a 4-year degree. Mm-hmm. I happen to have a 4-year degree, but like I always told people, I was like, my 4-year degree means nothing in the EMS world because you can go for 9 months and have the same exact thing as me, and that doesn't make me any better than that person. And I told them as soon as I come here, that was one of the things. I was like, yes, I have a 4-year degree. And people joke with me all the time, oh, you graduated from Western and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah. I was like, but it means nothing to me.
Sure.
Like, I never have seen myself above anybody else because I feel like we all have the same skill set and we all have come from the similar backgrounds, and we all have our own little niche. Like sometimes, someone would be better at this skill versus you or whatever, and you kind of figure all that out. But it's funny you were talking about the whole seizure thing. I actually experienced that myself in an ER setting. I actually told a provider that a patient was having a seizure. Mm-hmm. Me and the provider were both in there. We were getting ready to do a procedure or something, and the patient was unresponsive. And I had been in there already to check them in and everything like that, and they were not acting the norm.
Yeah.
I was like, something's up. Mm-hmm. And I looked, and their eyes were twitching back and forth and everything, and I looked at the provider and I said, they're having a seizure.
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do? And then, of course, like you said, all chaos, and I'm just like, okay, y'all, you're an ER. Mm-hmm. Like, what?
Yeah, and I think, I think it was Chris, maybe not Chris, who was telling me that's the difference between us and a nurse is when we're in the back of the truck and we see a heart rate that kind of starts to get real fast or go down, we don't look over our back and say, okay, what do you want me to do?
Mm-mm.
We just do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I guess that puts us in that thin gray area. But that's what we're trained to do.
It
and
is.
And let me say this.
The problem, I think the training part that we have a problem with is we go to a house, me and your partner or whoever, and working that code and having to tell a loved one, a child,
Mm-hmm.
hey, let them do what they do, let them, watching them cry, and you're having to talk them through it.
Yeah.
I don't think that's something we're ever prepared to do.
No.
I think that's something, the first time that was the worst, rough thing I've ever done, I think, ever.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and they feel helpless because they just want to help too, but
Mm-hmm.
that was rough.
Yeah.
I don't think nurses ever get to really
Have to
deal with that.
Yeah.
But, that's...
Yeah. Because that's the doctor. The doctor's the one that goes out there and has to handle that.
Yeah.
And here...
It's more, I think a medic is more personable than a nurse anyway, because you have to be. Look at these people's houses 2, 3 in the morning. You don't know what you're going to run up on.
Yeah. And I guess the whole thing is, I'm excited for you. I'm super excited for you. If anybody, you and Steven have busted your butts over the past year.
Yeah, it's not been easy.
Year and a half to get there. And I know you've probably shed a lot of tears and you've probably been frustrated. And because here's the thing, a nurse's job is hard. Do I want to be a nurse? No, I don't. Your job is extremely difficult. You deserve all the accolades and all the appreciation that you get, because for us, we have that patient 25, 30 minutes, we take them to the hospital and we're done. Mm-hmm. You may have that patient for a day, maybe longer.
Right.
And so your investment is if it's not just the same, it's even larger. But I think what we talk about is the disconnect between, hey, we are a little bit knowledgeable in this stuff. Mm-hmm. We are in this together. Right. And there is a disconnect. There's a disconnect between home and in the hospital, and it's like a turf war. Mm-hmm. And, we're not really speaking different language. It's just that, I'm no better than you. You may have a whole lot more education than I do, and that's great. And I trust in you. Because there's some nurses, listen, my nurse, Brenda, and when I was in paramedic school, I would lay down my life for her today because she helped me be who I am today. And that's how it should be.
Right.
I'm not trying to be, I'm better than you, but I want to. That's a whole leverage.
We're a
influence.
team. It's a whole team.
Yeah, but if Brenda loves you, she do whatever.
Oh my God, she was friggin' amazing. Love her to death. I bring her candy bars all the time.
But yeah, it's a team aspect. We need to do what's best for our patients. Mm-hmm. And the whole disputes and disagreements and whatever. At the end of the day, that doesn't matter. We need to advocate for our patients and patient care. And I think, like you said, a lot of times some nurses are in the mindset that they are better than us. Mm-hmm. And I hate that. But what do? You can't fix somebody's personal view or anything like that. But like I was saying, I've been having some issues with finding a job part-time because of that. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of places, they see new grad, they don't want to take the risk in hiring a new grad part-time. Or PRN, which I've had to, plead my case, look, I'm not your normal new grad.
Exactly.
I've got all this foundation. Yes, I understand that I don't have a nursing background per se, but I do have a lot of hands-on patient care. Mm-hmm. So please take a chance on me in hiring me. And even one of my instructors told me yesterday I've applied 2 places. So far, that's the only 2 places that I've applied for, because I have had such a difficult time even getting people to consider. Mm-hmm. One of them I pretty much knew before I went even in for the interview that it wasn't going to happen because I knew that they were not going to be willing to work with me on the part-time thing because I really want to be in the ICU setting. I love the ICU setting because I feel like the patients are very sick and they really need help.
Can I also say in the ICU setting is what we don't get to see.
Right.
And that's the one thing I think we lack because once we drop them off, we don't hear anything else unless we were to contact the hospital and check on that patient. And I agree with you. If I was to do that, I'd do the same.
I just feel like the ICU setting, we kind of have our own miniature ICU in the back of our trucks. But like you said, yeah, we only do for that 30 minutes or an hour or whatever that it is. And so for the ICU setting for me, I want to take care of sick patients. I want to be able to sit and use my brain to watch the monitor, to monitor my patient, and really feel like I've made a difference, you know. So that's where I really want to be. But I told one of my instructors yesterday, she actually works at the hospital that I did apply for, and I said, well, they didn't call me back. You know, I figured it's because they didn't want to hire me PRN. And she said, well, that's their loss then.
Yeah.
She said it straight to my face.
Yeah.
And she said they don't get it.
Yeah.
And now our instructors are even more on our sides because they know that what we're worth now because they've seen it.
Yeah.
And they've seen what this education helps to develop into the nurses that we will become. Our paramedic background gives a whole plethora of knowledge to adding to the nursing side of things. And they just have to prepare us to be nurses. We already have the foundation and the knowledge to how to take care of people, but they just have to teach us the nursing side of things.
Yeah.
And just for my instructor to tell me that to my face, I mean, it really made me feel good. You know, but I am happy to say I have gotten an offer that I've accepted.
Awesome. Good for you.
So I'm excited, and I see you
Awesome.
somewhere. So I won't say yet.
That's fine.
It's not
Nobody
like
needs to know.
officially official yet, but so I was offered a position. So I'm thankful, and I told him in my interview, I said, really, I just need somebody to take a chance on me.
Yep. Awesome.
I said, that's what I need. I said, because I'm not going to be a normal part-time or PRN person. Like, I'm going to work.
Sure.
I want to learn to be a nurse. I want to get this experience under my belt. And I want, you know, to be a part of your team.
Yeah.
So.
Well, good for you. And so May is when you graduate.
May.
And then I guess sometime in May or after May, in June, you take your test.
It will just depend on whenever I can get it scheduled.
Okay.
I know last year with the whole COVID stuff going on, they had limit in testing, but I think that's kind of been resolved. I don't really know 100%. So, but it'll just be whenever I decide to schedule it. But hopefully somewhere around in June,
Awesome.
sometime in June.
Awesome. Well, good for you. That's exciting. And Tyler will get his new truck.
Yes.
Tyler's not getting a new truck.
So ready for that.
Well, you know, here, a special time of our show, where I like to kind of, you know, do something a little different other than the interview process. And it's where we talk about pod decks. Now, what are pod decks? Pod decks are a great little asset brought to you by Pod Decks, and they give you these sets of cards. And it helps you with the interview process of your podcast. Now, anybody can buy these, just like the advertisement said at the very beginning of the show. But it does help with the interview, and the interview is, I think, the major process of a podcast. If you can do a good interview, you can have a really good podcast. And so this is capable for anybody to use. But we're going to...
Would you rather?
Huh?
I thought we was going to play some Would You Rather.
Oh, this is a little different. Because we had Would You Rather last time. This is going to be... What the heck?
What the heck?
What the heck? Alright, so... And now we got two guests today. We're going to put right here some questions. We'll start with Tyler.
Great.
Do you have a favorite T-shirt? Let's start with that one.
Yes.
Okay, if so, what's on it or what does it say?
It's a Grace Chapel shirt and it's got a big hole right here.
Do you know what shirt he's talking about?
Yes.
Kristen?
It's my most
Yeah, and he
favorite.
matches them with these terrible yellow gym
Most
shorts that he's had for 20 years.
Why has it got a hole in it?
I don't know. I think it started out like, you'd wear it, you put it on, you just rip it, and it ripped. I love it.
That's your favorite t-shirt
My
in the
favorite
world.
t-shirt in the world.
Nice. Everybody has a favorite t-shirt. Kristen, what slogan or jingle got stuck in your head forever?
Baby Shark.
No, it's not your question. Gosh. The Oscar Mayer Wiener song.
What?
I wish I was an Oscar Mayer winner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wish I
I
was
was an Oscar Mayer Wiener.
That's what I really truly want to be. If I was an Oscar Mayer
And then
winner.
there was so that one, and then the one, it was like a Canine Advantix or a Frontline Plus or something, the little dog, and it's like, hello mother,
Oh,
hello
yeah.
father,
Yeah.
please fix mosquitoes, really father, thanks for the package, that's why I'm writing. Canine Advantix quickly stopped all the biting.
There you go.
See? There it is.
And that's our sponsor for What the Heck.
Canine Advantix.
If Canine Advantix is listening,
Holla at your boy.
support your boy. Tyler, if you could talk to one species of animal, what would it be?
Oh gosh.
I think it would be the three-toed sloth.
Really? That thing moves that slow
That's what I don't know how he does it. Because he's got to live
forever.
forever because he doesn't get in a hurry. He goes to a road and people help him across the road.
Do you know there's a frog
Chill out.
that it can slow its heart? It gets in cold weather and it'll freeze itself until its heart rate barely.
I think I did know that.
Or the,
Actually, it sounds familiar.
what's the other one? The one where he doesn't give a... It was on YouTube. Dadgum, I can't think of
He
it.
doesn't give a crap.
Yes. Honey badger.
Oh yeah,
The honey badger.
yeah, honey badgers are crazy.
Yeah,
They don't give
exactly.
up. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Kristen, have you ever had a weird Uber experience? Tyler shakes his head like he does.
Atlanta.
I don't think so. It wasn't weird.
I typed in the wrong hotel.
You went the wrong way.
This is the right hotel.
How was Kristen?
Yeah.
Tell you.
I don't
Tell him the right hotel.
You told me.
So the backstory is, we went and she wanted to go to the Martin Luther King
Memorial.
statue.
There's a memorial.
Sure.
I have this like
Where's
book.
this at? Atlanta?
Atlanta.
Oh yeah, it is in Atlanta.
So I have this book. It's like National Landmarks Passport.
Mhm.
A book, and you go to these places and you can get a stamp. And that was one of the places in the thing, and I wanted to get a stamp for my book.
So we walked down the bottom of the road. There's a high rise this way and a ghetto this way. I said, no, we're not going.
And Eric and Courtney both told us, told us a street not to even go near or whatever. Well, the corner of where we were standing and then we looked up, that was the road.
Yeah.
Martin Luther King Drive.
Nice.
Right there.
Been there.
I wasn't going.
No, we went to Washington D.C. Martin Luther King Boulevard.
Yeah, and y'all made me stay
Yeah.
in the truck.
So if it's anything like that, so we went to Washington. This is what an Uber experience. But we went on a mission trip one time, Baltimore, Washington D.C. area, and one of the places was. So we got in a van,
It was a food truck.
the food truck, but it was like a van, and in the back it had this huge, big pot full of soup. We had sandwiches and yogurt and I think chips. And there was a guy that was probably, 5'2", who was driving the van. And he's like, hey, we're going to go to Martin Luther King Boulevard. And I was like, okay. And there's all us, young kids, church people going. And we got there, and you could see the streets just lined up full of people waiting for this food truck to come. And we was trying to get everything ready in the back, and they started rocking the van.
Oh my god!
And we're in here, and we're like, there's only one door, and then the door out the back. And Jamie Steele was with us, and he was leading the show here. And the guy's like, all right, y'all need to be ready. And before he could get that ready out, the whole door slung open. And you couldn't even see the end of people. And they were trying to grab stuff. And the guy was like, stop grabbing. We're handing it out to you one by one. And there was a pregnant lady who was kind of in front. And they knocked her down. And out of nowhere, this guy who looked like freaking... but huge muscles, thick, comes walking up and literally clears everybody out like a bulldozer. Helps his wife up. Looks like just like a rock, but yeah. Clears everybody out, picks her up, and says, "Get whatever you want, baby." And he looks at them and they're like, "Dude, I'm not messing with you." And she gets whatever she wants. She leaves, and I'm like, "Dude, if you don't mind staying right here the whole time and help us. We'll give you extra food, whatever you need, but we need help." So if there's anything like that, I would be scared too. I mean, it's for us.
There wasn't anybody on the street,
Not yet.
but yeah.
A couple more
Eric
steps.
had said, "Do not go there. Just don't."
Yeah.
So
There you go. Have you ever been arrested?
No.
You ever been arrested? Good.
no. My dad was a police officer.
Okay. If your office had show and tell for adults,
Oh God.
what thing would you be proud to display?
I don't think that's podcast appropriate.
No, it is anything podcast. Look, he's still thinking over
I
there.
can think of one thing I would display.
Your mullet.
That, and that's given. I think the older brother made me a fallen firefighter's flag. I'd probably display that.
That's cool.
He painted himself. That's probably what I would display.
I think I've seen it.
Yeah, Kristen loves it.
I don't dislike it.
There's nowhere to put this.
Oh, that's not
You'd
true.
rather have a place to put it in your home. Do you have a favorite number?
I do.
What is it?
11.
Any particular reason why you like that number?
My birthday's 11/11.
Well, that's cool. So when you were, how old were you when 11/11/11?
Oh, I don't know how old I was, but I remember it because I remember waiting
It's not your shit.
till it was 11/11/11 at 11/11. Like the time. Both
You
times.
took a picture.
I don't know if I took a picture.
Oh, you should take a picture.
I don't think I took a picture. I was in college. I remember that because I remember I was at Haynes Mall. Because you used to go shopping all the
She
time.
was 20.
20.
She was 20.
It's a long time ago.
Been cool if
Feels
you was
like it.
21. 11/11/11/11.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, but you know what? Oh, that wouldn't work.
Which, yeah, no. Right.
Tyler, what is your favorite microwavable food?
I think pizza.
Pizza?
Little Caesar's pizza that's in the refrigerator
Now listen here.
at night.
Have you
my
have you
gosh.
oven reheated it?
I eat cold pizza.
If you oven reheat Little Caesar's pizza, it's even better than what it was
Seriously?
Facts.
Really?
before you.
I mean,
Extra most
like-
bestest or just a regular?
I mean, that's
Everything.
like just the crust. is
thin and
super better.
crispy. Oh, I do thin and crispy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I
I
tell you.
love
You a
it.
thin crispy dude?
Yeah.
Well, represent, brother.
Air 5.
Yeah, that's the only way I'll eat pizza. I'm a thin and
Because
crispy
you're
guy.
wasting it on the crust.
I need thick.
I
But
don't
it's
know
a
how many
free
times-
breadstick.
I don't know how many times I've said that. If I wanted breadsticks, I'd get breadsticks.
But breadsticks cost extra. So if
But I
you get
don't
thick
want
crust,
Pizza
We like
breadsticks.
cheesy bread and there's no
Rather
cheese
have
on
wings
the
than a
crust.
breadstick.
Huh?
Rather
unless
have wings than breadsticks.
True.
true.
All right, last question. When you were a kid, did you have any posters on your wall? If
Yeah.
so, what?
I believe. I don't really know. I think it was just of a dolphin. Dolphins.
Nothing fancy?
Wow.
Yeah, I'm serious. I used to be dolphin crazed. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
I had everything dolphin. Like my bedspread was dolphins. I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to think if I had any like boy band posters. I really don't think I did. I think I might have had some like small pictures of Aaron Carter or something.
Aaron Carter.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's an old one. That's an old one to
What
bring
about
back.
you, Tyler? You post really
Ken
well.
Griffey Jr.
Any boy bands
What
on your
up?
wall?
Your boy bands on your
Penny
wall.
Hardaway.
You know any boy bands?
No boy bands. Just players.
New Kids on the Block? You're too young for that.
A little before my time.
Yep. New Kids.
Here's a poster of Billy Ray Cyrus now for inspiration.
Yeah.
Well, heck yeah.
Morgan
Look
Wallen.
at that.
Oh my god.
Morgan Wallen.
Yes.
Do you know his album sales went up 1,200%?
Really?
Because of that. They suspended him. That's why they didn't kick him. They just suspended him.
Yeah.
Well, Spotify never took him off, I don't think.
Thank
Apple
God.
Music
Because
did.
I went and looked. Because he was complaining about Apple Music.
Did
Taking
Apple
it
Music
off?
take him off?
They said it was going to, but they did.
They
Oh, okay. Well, I went and looked. As soon as he said something about it, I went and looked. And all mine was still on there. So,
Before we go, you have a very special occasion coming up within a year.
Actually,
no, it's not within a year.
No, it's not.
It's next year.
Less than a year.
I think
No,
you
it's over a
should.
year.
1 year.
I think you should ask everybody. I've asked people this question all the time. Who do you attribute your medic skills to?
Oh, that's a good question.
Who do you attribute?
My
to?
skills.
Your skills, your whole demeanor, who taught you, who brought
Chris
you
Elderman.
through.
Chris Elderman taught me a couple things. I have a couple people. You have a couple people? Or just one person?
I got one person,
All right, go ahead.
Jason Arney.
Okay.
Probably the most hippie, non-talking to person ever.
He's funny, though.
But the smartest, probably one of the smartest medics I've ever met
Yeah.
in my life.
That's a good question. What about you?
I don't have one.
You don't have one?
Like, you didn't have, like,
I really don't.
teacher that-
Y'all always talk about that, and I really don't. And it's not that I feel like I've learned everything myself. I just don't have any. I will leave my FTO's name out, but you know who trained
Yeah.
me. And so I just don't. I don't know. I mean, there's several that have contributed, but not anybody that. I mean, I love Jeffrey Sigmund to death.
Sure.
But I
Everybody
never
does.
really. He didn't exactly. Everybody does.
He could run for president of the United States, and I
Could.
think he would get a lot of votes.
100%. Yes.
He'd get more than
Got
At
voted.
least
Kanye.
Alexander County.
But I think as in my career, Jeffrey Sigmund has made the biggest influence. But I don't know if it's for skills.
Yeah.
It's not really necessarily for skills. It's just in the way the leader that he is, in the way, because he was my initial supervisor. So he is the one that brought me in and kind of took me under his wing and whatever. But as far as skills go, I don't attribute one like specific person to it. Like bits and pieces, people have taught me different stuff along the way, but I don't really have that specific person that I think about.
Chris Edelman and Danny Sweat skills.
Those are good ones.
Danny Sweat, had all the tactical aspect of it. Chris Edelman had the whole, from the very beginning. Administration, like, helped me understand administration. It had to be Kevin
Richards.
Kevin Richards. I was going to say Kevin.
I was like,
Kevin
which
School. Kevin Richards sat me down and taught me how to freaking run a shift before anybody else told me how to run a shift, and how to handle training and things like that.
Well, now let's talk about our big announcement.
Yeah, but
Sorry.
you have a big thing coming on before we stop this thing and let y'all
Do
leave.
you think we should tell the world the date and where? Because,
Not everybody's
I
invited.
am kind of worldwide known,
What's going on in the next year?
It's not the
I'm
next
spending
year.
all my money, Shannon.
It's next year.
Next year,
But
yeah, within a year. You are getting married.
I will be broke.
Yeah.
We're gonna be Mr. and
Maybe
Mrs. Baker.
No, there's no maybe.
You're going to be broke.
will.
Because
And
by the time she'll be a
actually-
nurse.
Exactly. That's why I have to worry about a truck payment.
Oh God. But actually, yes, we are getting married. But our backstory started at Alexander EMS.
Yes.
So that's the great thing about it.
You have Phil McCurdy to thank for that.
Yes. Yeah. And, Trey Sinker.
And Trey Sinker.
So that's just a great thing.
Yeah.
And I told
Trey
you.
Sinker.
EMS brought y'all together.
EMS brought us together, but
Yeah.
it took a few years to
Sure.
till somebody come to his senses
Yeah.
Yeah.
to
I'm
and
happy
he
for
didn't
you.
even personally contact me and to have
That's
one
right.
of his friends,
Big,
one of our
Chick-fil-A.
mutual friends, Travis
Travis
Davenport,
Davenport.
who I graduated with and he's on the fire department with.
Graduated with
At Western.
Western.
Yeah. So he messaged me on Snapchat and was like, "Hey, Tyler Baker," and I was like, yeah." Kind of gave me a little backstory on what had been going on in Tyler's life,
Mhm.
and I was like, and he was like, "Do you care if he has your number?" And I was like, I mean, sure, but whatever. I'm not looking for another guy friend, At that point, which everybody pretty much at Alexander has seen my progression of men. And has seen
Well, your journey. Let's call it your journey.
my journey. Yes, that's a good
Because
thing.
I think it's all
And
honesty.
even you
All
know
honesty.
a lot of the backstory of it.
Yeah, I do. But it has been a journey and something that you have constantly prayed for, and just finally dreams come true.
Oh, good gravy.
And-
But I told her I can't get married on that day if the crap you're biting. So.
Oh, jeez.
Hey, you said something earlier. I'm sorry, you said something earlier, and I don't know if you know this or not. Do you have TikTok?
Yes.
Oh, my Lord, yes.
Best thing
he
ever,
does.
right?
Yes.
So I have a TikTok too. You know what my username is on TikTok?
Would you rather?
Gut Buggy.
I like it.
And where do we get Gut Buggy from?
That's a Reed Roper.
That is a
term,
Reed
right?
Roper term. Yep.
I'll talk to him. I'll try to get him on here.
Gut Buggy. I don't have any videos or anything, but yeah. I made sure. I thought of him when I put up the name. I thought, what would be a cool name for a TikTok? Gut Buggy.
But back to the wedding, I'll never forget the first time I met Anthony, what he told me about Kristen.
Okay.
He said, if you want a submissive woman, you might as well just keep on going. I'll never forget that. That was 2 years ago. He told me.
She has changed. Time has come by. You know what? I won't say who said this, but a good mutual friend of ours was like, who would make a good wife? And when I was like, who? He said, Kristen Johnson would make a good wife.
Who said that? I'm going to give him old razzle dazzle.
It's funny you say that because several people have told me that. Like when I was discouraged and
Yeah.
stuff, even you, I think.
Mhm.
Several people in EMS have told me that. And I was like, well, I wish other people would have recognized that, But, like you said, my journey, I went through a lot of bad ones, for sure. A lot of winners, yeah. But, and then it, like you said, it brought me to my dream come true.
Yeah.
And, and
y'all
it
make a
really
good
does.
couple.
It
I'll
really
never
does
forget.
make me thankful for
Before I
him.
met Kristen, she was dating some guy, and I'm like, I hope they split up right now.
And let
That's how
me
to
say, when he was saying this, he was married and hoping that I would be split up from my boyfriend. But
Yes.
Here's the cool thing. If you ever, I think it's your Snapchat. If you ever follow Kristen on Snapchat and she has videos, she videos Tyler coming out of some of the strangest buildings. Like one time he comes out of the building and he's like, "What's he doing?" He just got him a golf club. And what was that time you stopped on the side of the road to get
fish.
So we went to Florida.
Fish.
And I found a real classy, nice place.
It was like,
No.
yo.
Oh gosh, let me see.
No, it wasn't.
I gotta find the picture. It really wasn't.
It was a barn. It
They
looked like a
didn't
barn.
even
It
have.
was, and then we went across the street, and Kristen was scared to death because they had bars on the windows. I
Where?
said, Kristen ain't gonna eat you. Good Lord.
And you got some fish.
Yeah, I got some fish and some shrimp.
This is on the way home from
We had left
some crab.
Jacksonville.
Florida.
Yes,
Yeah.
we are boat left out of Jacksonville, and we had left. He was like, I want to get some good seafood before we go home.
Fresh. Yeah.
Fresh.
Understand.
And I said, okay, whatever. Well, he Googles it real quick, and he's like, okay, there's just one right down the road from here. Let's go. So we get
It's a real
there, and
classy establishment.
it's like this little shack.
Yeah.
And they don't even have, I wish I could find, because I can't remember what they had misspelled on the
I
side.
don't know, but it was great.
well,
And then it also said EBT accepted.
It
That's what it said. EBT accepted. And I was like,
Thank God.
oh
These
my
are
gosh.
people.
Yeah. And so we go. Yeah, exactly. So he goes right
Yeah, I
in.
fit right in.
Yeah. At that time, he didn't have a mullet, but he really should have.
Oh my God.
But yeah, then we go down the street. So after he comes back, he's like, okay, we gotta get a cooler. They didn't have a cooler. No, they wanted to charge me $10 for a cooler in there.
Yeah, I remember that.
I'm not paying that. So we go down the road a little further. And I'm just like, okay. We roll up to this gas station. And literally, it had bars.
Uh-huh.
Real
On the
classy
door.
place,
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Bars on the door.
Uh-huh.
And he leaves me in the car by myself. So I'm like locking the doors. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, y'all.
That's my
But
favorite
then we travel. He gets the cooler. And we travel all the way home with this seafood
What'd you get, remember?
from Florida.
food. Bought a
Flounder.
a whole flounder,
Uh-huh.
Did you buy some
blue
scallops?
crab, and shrimp.
Wow.
Oh, you didn't buy scallops.
Good for
Okay.
you. You like scallops?
Love.
We love scallops. Oh my gosh! And there's this place that we found it's actually in Little River, South Carolina,
Mhm.
but it's right above North Myrtle Beach. And it's called Crab Catchers. Oh my
Crab
gosh!
catchers, holla at your boy.
Yeah. They have deep fried scallops, and they are the best thing that I have ever put in my mouth. Like, I swear, like, they are so good.
They're not chewy. They're just like...
No,
Yeah.
I'm talking like
Because they're so fresh.
melt in your mouth. And yeah, they have their own charter that goes
Nice.
out and catches them fresh. Like their own charter boat that goes and catches specifically for their restaurant.
Wow.
So when we go back, my family goes to Myrtle Beach every year. So we're going back in July. We'll definitely be going there. It's definitely number one, or one of the spots that we will be going.
Awesome. Well, let me just say I love you guys.
Well, we love you, Shannon.
I love
you. And let's tell. So yes, we're
Okay.
getting married.
Yep.
So, but Shannon is gonna marry us.
I will be officiating that wedding. I'm already looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome.
It is gonna be awesome. Wedding of the century.
Yeah, I'm excited.
That's right.
You want me to sing some Shania Twain?
Some you got the you ever get a DJ?
Yes, Nathan's gonna DJ.
And the only thing we're looking for those who are listening, did you get it yet? The bartender?
Bartender, no,
Yeah.
still working.
Still working on a bartender.
What's the you gotta have a bartender with a license for
And insurance.
and insurance for
Bartending.
was it a certain number of people?
150 people.
Oh, 150
150
people.
people. So those who are listening out there, if you know someone who has insurance and a license to bartend for 150 people,
And it's cheap.
Less than
it is
$1,000.
good price. We're paramedics here,
Yeah.
firemen. We need to.
Cut us emergency services discount.
I'll put that. I'll make sure to put that in the information when they click on to read about this podcast. Guys, I love y'all so much. Hopefully you'll come back.
We love you, Shannon.
Maybe after you're married, or maybe before then, we'll bring you back, and maybe after you've been nursing, you tell us a little about how the nursing field is,
Get an
The
update.
trials and tribulations.
the trials and tribulations.
Oh gosh.
And if y'all ever need anything, just let us know. Okay.
All right.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank
All right.
you.
See you.